friends, today it's time to balance the books of June. So today I have quite a lot of things to talk about once we're done talking about what I've read and what I got and all of that. So I'm not going to do a long intro, I'm just going to get right into it and then we'll talk. So this month I bought The November Girl, I got an arc of Bringing Down the Duke, I bought Red Scrolls of Magic, I got an arc of Stronger Than a Bronze Dragon, I bought Sorcery of Thorns, I bought Ghosts of the Shadow Market, which I didn't have to read the whole thing anyway, but the 2 stories that I did have to read, I read, so I'm counting it as like a -1. I bought Shadow and Flame, I got an arc of Stage Dreams, which I have already read, I got an arc of A Little Light Mischief, and I got an arc of The Merciful Crow. And then on top of the 2 things that I've already mentioned, I also read Last Bus to Everland, The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics, and Our Year of Maybe. And again, no DNFs this month, which I feel like very much speaks for the good place that my TBR is in. I obviously know that there's gonna be more DNFs throughout the year. I'm not like done DNFing, and sometimes I really just get surprised by how boring or bad a book is and I DNF it. But I do think the fact that I haven't DNF'd something in 2 months definitely says something about not the quality of my TBR, but how interested am I in reading this level of my TBR, if that makes any sense. So I am definitely very happy with that. Again, I love DNFing. I think DNFing is a good thing, and I'm glad that I never really feel bad about DNFing, but also I feel like I'm doing something right with not DNFing a lot of books. I started this month with my TBR at 124 books, and I wanted to be at least 122 because last month I had 4+ books and I got rid of 2 and then was like, oh, I'm gonna reach that goal next month. As you can see, I did not reach that goal at all. On the contrary, I added quite a lot of new books onto my TBR, and I'm actually at 129 books. I said last month that I will definitely get rid of the 2 books if I don't reach that goal this month, but I am cutting myself some slack because I was just not in a super good place mentally. So I wasn't really able to read as much as I wanted to, and definitely not as much as I could have. And I really try to like push myself and stuff, but sometimes it's just not happening, and that's fine. And if I'm not feeling well mentally, reading is not something that I want to push myself to do. And also it is not something where I want to put pressure on myself. So this month for me is basically a month that I'm kind of ignoring as a whole and not really doing anything to my TBR. I'm not gonna get rid of 7 books. I actually thought of skipping balancing the books completely this month, but I mean, at the end of the day, this is also just for me to keep track of my TBR, not just to like actively reduce it. And I think it's absolutely fair to just kind of, just show you what I got, what I read, and then talk about the fact that this month I'm kind of basically taking a break while still doing a video because this month just wasn't that great mentally. Again, this series is definitely to create some pressure, and I do want to reduce my TBR on the long run, but I'm not trying to like be too mean to myself. That's not how I roll, and especially if I'm not doing well mentally, I want to be as nice to myself as possible. So I am not going to get rid of anything today, but I have decided that definitely for July, maybe even for August, I will go on a book buying ban. It is not necessarily just connected to having 129 books on my TBR. It is a lot of things. I do think that my physical TBR got a little bit out of hand because buying used books at mini mobs is just so exciting, and it will probably always be an exciting thing, but I've just come to a place where like this is my TBR shelf and it's basically full. Like I can barely fit things on there anymore, and I just don't want that. I've always been someone who didn't really mind having a big TBR, whatever that means to you. I definitely mind having a 300 books TBR. If that's cool for you, no problem. But for me, I mean rather about like 100 books. I never really had an issue with that. What I do have an issue with is having too many physical books that are unread, especially because my job requires me to move a lot and I really don't want to have like 70 unread physical books that I have to take with me every single time. So I really want to work on reducing my physical TBR, and the only way to do that is to go on a book buying ban. I have, I think, one book pre-ordered, but that one is August anyway, so we'll talk about that when we get there. And I'm definitely not including, first of all, I'm not including requesting ARCs because duh. And also I'm not including any books that I buy through a Kindle deal. We're obviously already a little bit into July and there were 2 books super cheap on Amazon, so I just bought them because that's another thing that for me, yes, it does still get added onto my TBR, but if I buy something for super cheap on Kindle, I usually just don't really mind. And that's the thing, like this book buying ban has to do with how big my TBR is and how big my physical TBR is, but it definitely also has to do with the fact that I just don't really want to spend money on books right now if I don't have to. I'm just in a financial situation where I don't really want to spend money on things that I don't need, or, you know, like I want to rather spend my money on like, you know, going out or like just being able to spend money when I go out and just not being like, oh no, like I don't have any money to like buy like a beer at a bar. I don't really want that. That's the things that I want to spend money on, and I really kind of want to spend money on experiences at the moment, and then also I have to save up for the eventual next move that is coming up. And so I just don't want to spend money on physical books when I have more than enough stuff. And then also the kind of positive, great, good feeling that buying books gives me is something that nowadays I get so much through requesting ARCs. And then obviously I also have the stack that Melanie sent me from BEA and BookCon that is really exciting to look at. Like that excitement has not died down in the slightest. And so I just feel like I don't need to buy books. I don't need to buy books when it comes to my TBR. I don't need to buy books when it comes to me being excited about reading or about books. And I don't want to spend money on books, even if it's cheap used books. So I think that this is the first time where I feel very confident and good about going on a book buying ban. I don't feel like I am restricting myself in any way. I don't feel like I am, you know, punishing myself. I just feel like this is just something that I need to set for myself. I'm not very good at just being like, oh, I'm just not going to buy any books. If I do it, I need to be like, I'm going on a book buying ban, and I need to set it as almost like a goal. And that's when it works. Just in my head being like, oh, I'm not going to buy anything, that does not work at all. So I'm putting it out there. I'm going on a book buying ban, definitely for July, which I know seems ridiculous to just go on a book buying ban for 1 month. But if we look back at the last couple of months, I've always had pretty big book hauls every month, which is also a thing that was not usual for me at all. So I just want to take 1 month at a time. If July goes well, then I might do August as well. I'm just gonna, you know, see every month how it's going, how I'm feeling. But definitely for July, I'm not gonna buy any physical books. I think I also need that because currently there are so many books that I'm really, really excited for. And like all of the books that I bought this month, I got new. Most of them are new releases that I'm really looking forward to. But if I keep buying new books, I just lose track. Like, you know, the Rune trilogy where I bought the sequel new, but now I have so many things on my TBR that it's just getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And that is not what I want to do. There are so many books that I'm really looking forward to at the moment. I really don't need to pile on another however many books. And again, I have the stack of ARCs, which I'm very deliberately not adding onto my TBR because I think that creates some kind of pressure that I don't really need. I think with the physical ARCs, I think I'm gonna do the thing that I've talked about before and that a lot of you have suggested as well. I will add those ARCs onto my actual TBR if I haven't read them by the time that they come out. That is when I will actually put them on my TBR as a +1, not for now. And also probably not Vow of Thieves because it's a sequel. But we'll maybe I have read it by then anyway. I don't know. it's just a lot, you know, it's a lot. I have so many things and like just so many good releases coming out that I want to be ready for as well. Like by the time September comes around, I need my TBR to be kind of calm because there's a lot of things that I want to pre-order that month. And again, really exciting arcs. I, am auto approved for Macmillan arcs. And like there's so many things that I don't even really have on my radar that I can download and read in like a second. So there's just so many exciting things. I don't need to buy used books at the moment, and I don't need to spend money on books at the moment. And so I'm actually really excited, which is weird. I definitely never thought I would feel excited about a book buying ban, but I actually do. Because again, I have so many exciting things on my TBR, and I'm just really ready to I just want to have a lot of minuses next month and just to be like, hey, I actually read the stuff that I'm excited about. So yeah, that is my plan for July. I know it was just a whole lot of talking, but I know a lot of you are usually really interested in me just kind of talking about my TBR and how I'm going to continue dealing with it. So I hope this was somewhat interesting. I don't really know, but it's definitely what I just needed to do and what I needed to put out there. Anyway, tell me about your most recent experience with a book buying ban. Did you do well? How long did it go for? Was it a planned thing, or did you just kind of realize that you just hadn't been buying books for a couple of months? I want to know your most recent book buying ban stories. And yeah, I make new videos every Wednesday and Sunday with occasional reviews on Friday. So click subscribe to never miss anything and hit the little bell so you get notified as well. And thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon. Bye!